Hello, and welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, your bi-weekly slice of tech in Africa, brought to you by Central Africa, Africa's leading IT consultancy that aims to transform the way you work through enhanced collaboration, data solutions, and Chrome hardware. I'm your host once again, Matthew, and today we're diving into upskilling and reskilling. With me on this episode, we have none other than Tim Kuria, the lead business development manager, Africa, with the African Management Institute, or AMI. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you, Matthew. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you.
Yeah.
So, on our first episode of Byte-Sized Tech, we talked quite a bit about the skills required for the tech community in this world. And I'd like to ask you, why is upskilling or reskilling so important for individuals and organizations in Kenya today?
Well, as you're aware, Matthew, the pace of technology is accelerating at a very, very fast rate, right? We see it around us all the time. Where we were 10 years ago in terms of technology, we're not there anymore, right? At the most basic, for example, what was big then, maybe Facebook and things like that, is not what is driving conversation today. And this has brought about a transformation in our industries and in our jobs. So it has come to a place where it has now created new roles. And for us, it does mean that we therefore now need to start rethinking our role within organizations, within people, right? So do we want to be left behind by what is happening around us, or do we want to ensure that we are moving and adapting to these new technologies and this new pace that the world is moving at, and ensuring that we are taking full advantage of it to be able to thrive and to be able to grow into this new future?
Yeah. No, I fully agree. So what sort of sectors does this affect the most, especially in terms of people and tech?
Okay. All right. Let me use an example of a tech company maybe from 10 years ago, right? Maybe if we're allowed to, I could use Central as an example.
Sure,
so in Central, at the very
means.
beginning, was doing things to do with software development. So a lot of the technology that was driving companies back then was driven by that need. You are fulfilling a need among the market for software development, right? And right now, companies are at a point where if you want to thrive in the technology space, you have to invest in things like AI. You have to get people who are skilled in data. You have to get people who are skilled in cybersecurity. And that has brought about that difference in roles. So, for example, the HR manager within this company would therefore face the challenge of integrating these digital skills beyond what they'd focused on before. So HR as a function, people as a function before, they would focus on how can we build up interpersonal skills around people? How can we ensure that these people know how to communicate and do time management and be able to do all of that, right? But right now, there's a demand among companies that just go beyond those particular skills, which are still very important. But right now, you also have to equip your people in the aspect of technology, right? So how do they use AI? How do they understand that this technology is here to augment it or to make their work better and not to replace them, right? So that has changed in the people aspect. So now organizations not only have to look at people in terms of skilling them up on the soft side, but also on the technology side, right? And for technology, what that means is that for the same, for example, a CTO within that company I was talking about would not only sit and think, okay, fine, my people are skilled in doing Python or skilled in doing some other language, technology language, right? But they now have to come to a point where these same people have to ensure that you integrate with them a mindset that they need to continually keep learning and relearning, skilling and upskilling, right? So they move beyond just, I had this great certificate from 5 years ago. I remember there was a time on LinkedIn when there was a craze around everyone posting the certificate. I was probably chief among them, right? But right now, it has to be continuous. People have to keep learning new languages, right? 2 years ago, nobody knew about ChatGPT, AI. Look at where we are right now. You now have to have people within your company who are learning that. So for the CTO, you therefore now need to drive that change hand in hand with your people, right? So as they've been developed in the people skill, you also need to ensure that they're adopting a mindset that I will need to keep learning and relearning so that the business, I myself can stay relevant in the market. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so let me challenge you, Tim.
Yeah.
Kamal. He's 18 years old.
Okay.
He's just finished his university.
Okay.
He's got a bachelor's degree in computer science.
Yeah.
He knows he's going to have to relearn. He's going to have to relearn because this world is fastly improving and adapting and changing and all that.
Yeah.
Where does he go to find information on what to learn first.
Okay.
Because time is money. He doesn't have the resources to, keep learning everything every so often. He has to prioritize so that he can get money into his account as fast as possible. Where does he go to find that information to know this is what I need to dive into first?
Okay, getting the information is quite simple. All you have to do is look at where the market is and what skills are being demanded by the market, right? Open any job listing. You can be able to say that if I want, for example, this is Kimali, he wants to have a role in cloud or something of that sort. Yeah, if he wants such a role, what skills are required? What does he need to learn? Does he need to get a certification, for example, in a particular provider's skill set? Look at the market, what will dominate the market, what can give you an edge, right? Be willing to invest in that. Be willing to invest your time and energy in learning it, right? Learning, if you're sitting in a position where, for example, he might not have the ability to pay for some of these courses, then he can be able to either identify free courses that are available online that can be able to skill him up, or two, he can be able to just get on YouTube, get on these other platforms and just take advantage of the information that is out there to be able to learn. However, I would want to put the onus on learning on him, because what he needs to do is he needs to understand people just won't sometimes hire you for the sake of hiring you. They will hire you because there's value you're bringing. And that value has to be driven by you. It's your mindset, right? So for him, it might not be fun to think I've just finished 4 years of university doing a degree that is taking me nowhere, but I also now need to come back and continue learning. But that's the mindset that will be needed even 20 years after he's finished university, right? If I can give an example of my own career, right? I did begin off in the tech world. I spent about 11 years in the hospitality field. So I was in hotel sales. I was doing hospitality, talking about buffets and conferences and things like that. But when COVID hit, that world disappeared overnight, right?
Erased
completely, right? We went home unpaid, and you try to figure out now what next, right? Luckily for me, I had access to some free courses that allowed me to just build up on that knowledge around tech. So I got into the tech field, and from there, I picked up a few certifications here and there because, it was something that has allowed me then to be able to continue within that journey, right? Even at my age, sitting where I am right now, even at my position, I do know I don't know it all. I do know, for example, in 5 years, maybe business development will be a function of AI, right? So you'll have computers doing all the selling, and some of us will be redundant, right?
Yes.
But for me to be able to get there, then I need to figure out what else do I need to learn? What do I need to keep learning and relearning, right? How do I skill up? How do I keep skilling up going forward? So for him, I'd encourage him, you're done with your degree, congratulations, keep learning. Pick up that mindset, keep up that growth mindset, keep learning.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's very good advice.
Yeah.
But then the challenge then goes to the organizations. So for example, the HR person, how does he know what he or she needs to look for in the next cloud architect and the next AI engineer? So I guess my question is, what's the biggest challenge that Kenyan organizations face in upskilling and reskilling?
Yeah. So looking at a lot of organizations, because where I sit right now, we talk to them a lot about the importance of developing this sort of training and mindset among your people. One of the challenges we see with companies that they get back to us and tell us the struggle is budget. Of course, some of them might not have the budget to be able to say we're going to pay for our team members to be able to learn that. Another one has to do with attitude. So sometimes there's resistance to change. So for example, I've been cutting my cabbages in a certain style for all these years. Now you're telling me there's a machine that's going to come and cut that cabbage perfectly into nice little cubes that will cook it in a shorter time than I can do. So of course you feel, will my job then disappear, right? So without a full understanding of how AI is then, or what these tools and technologies can do, you find there's quite a bit of resistance. Why should I go back to learning? Why should I do all these things? I've been doing this for so long. You've made money of what I could do for 20 years. So why are you telling me now that I need to learn? So there's that resistance as well.
Okay. If I could just divulge a bit here.
Sure.
I don't know if you're at liberty to speak on this, but
sure.
Is this perhaps why government institutions are resistant to implementing certain regulations?
Absolutely. Just broadly looking at the frustration within our current environment, it's drawn out of the fact that when people look at what they deserve, what they're paying for with what they're getting, then there's a huge disconnect, right? Because we are paying our taxes, but our taxes are not being translated into services that are in line with what our changing and evolving needs are, right? So for the government, you do tend to find there's quite a bit of slow turning of the wheel, because for people, in terms of just attitudes, the government has always been a safe haven. The place I joined at 20 and I retired at 60. That's what our parents went through, right? And it was a very safe environment for them. Change brings about uncertainty. It brings instability. It brings about what happens to me, what happens to my job. Therefore, you will find a lot of people within these environments are very slow to change. This has worked, right? So why should we move it forward? Why should we change it, right? If it means that I will suffer or that I have to learn a new skill, right? Yeah. So there's that resistance you find right there.
Which is quite unfortunate, because then as a nation, we're being left behind by countries that do adopt these changes, and that's not the future we were promised.
Exactly.
As a nation,
and especially now looking at the fact that with the younger generation, they're better skilled. I mean, they're more highly skilled. They've adopted quickly to technology, especially within the Kenyan market, right? Kenya is honestly technologically advanced. You want a cloud architect, you'll get it. You want a cybersecurity expert, you'll get it. I mean, we're not at the point where you can say that we need to bring in any additional skills. I'm watching people right now skill up on AI, and it's fantastic just looking at the investment people are putting in themselves to be able to do that. But then again, where's the government when it comes to AI, right? Where's the support? Where's the environment to ensure that Kenya can quickly adopt these technologies and move forward?
I think I see us lagging behind quite a bit, to be quite honest with you. And it's scary, because this is a once in a generation opportunity to leap ahead of the curve, leap ahead of the West, leap ahead of Europe. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day. I wanted to know from you, what opportunities, for example, would you see as the most promising, like today, right now?
Okay.
And I feel like AI is going to come in.
Yes, absolutely. But I do want to say the biggest opportunity lies with our people. The fact that our people are skilling themselves up for the future, right? So the fact that any technology right now, as I mentioned earlier, you'll probably find somebody young who is able to do it. I mean, the fact that our current environment, there's been a lot of conversation being driven on the digital space, because that is where these young people are thriving. So one of the factors that I could say brings a lot of optimism in terms of our future as a country is just the amount of knowledge that is being absorbed by the younger people and how they're now coming to implement it into their daily lives. So I think, well, we might not be there today. Tomorrow will definitely change, right? Tomorrow will definitely be at a higher level, because right now, I mean, look at our younger generation. They're up on sites like Upskill, Remote Us. I mean, they earn livings from that. They earn livings from doing those kind of services, right? My generation older, we need that job that has an office that I report every day, a desk,
check in, check out,
and a monthly paycheck between 24th and 28th, right?
That the government can dip into.
Can dip into, right? If we were told that we need to skill up so that we could get an online job, the first thing you're thinking is, what am I going to do online? Where will I even get that job? We have such mental barriers that for us, they don't have, and they are the future that will drive Kenya to that next step.
It's I mean, it's promising in some regard, but it's also kind of dystopian as well. Like they've been, I feel like at least they've been pushed to the edge, and they've had to find ways that actually work, and the best options are outside our borders. They are online. And it's good in the sense that they're able to now absorb this information to get this education and this experience. But at the end of the day, why can't, again, conversation for another day, why aren't those opportunities available here in Kenya without having to look towards Meta, towards OpenAI, towards... It's unfortunate, but again, we're not waiting for them to get here. We're going after them.
Exactly. Sorry, maybe if you can just add something small. One of the things that has also driven, and is also a cause of optimism in terms of the future, is the fact that for these particular people, getting the knowledge to be able to acquire these skills is no longer a big challenge. So right now you have a lot of tools online. You have the Udemy's, you have the Udacity, you have LinkedIn Learning, right? You have tools right now that these people are able to access the same amount of knowledge that their peers in Europe, in the Americas are able to access, right? So it does mean that maybe we also now need to start rethinking about how can we make skills, not only within the individual space, but also for organizations. How can we make it accessible to these particular people so that people can learn where they are, right? We don't want you crossing across Nairobi to go do a course. We want a course to be on demand in a way that is delivered to you so that you can be able to learn at your own pace, at your own time, but ensure that you're fully skilled up.
Yeah. So then, okay, can we, in a sense, I'd like to see a future where this information, this knowledge is already currently being shared in our universities.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the moment, you have to finish a certain degree and then you go and look for an additional course.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's working now, but do you see a future where some of this information filters down to an actual curriculum that can be stamped and approved by, for example, Strathmore or USIU or Nairobi University?
Yeah, actually, that is happening right now. So what has happened is a lot of organizations, including the one I work for, AMI, just for full disclosure, we do provide such form of learnings for organizations, especially organizations that would characterize themselves as ambitious, meaning that we want to win the market. We are here as a business to be able to thrive and win tomorrow. We do provide information. I have seen some of the ones you've mentioned there also do the same. So there are organizations that are sort of re-engineering themselves to be able to now bring that information to where people are, right? So you're not waiting for people to come up to universities to be able to sign up. People still do that. It's still a great thing. But you're now also coming up with bite-sized information, right? That you're now going to bring down to people to learn where they are, right? So for example, with us at AMI, we focus on courses around management, around trading, and just empowering the individual, right? And empowering the business. So we have a platform, an online platform where people can be able to come in and learn, just basically do anything from an academy or to do their course. I know there are many organizations that do that as well, right? So information is now trickling down to where people are. And therefore, people no longer have that excuse in that sense, and please allow me just to use that word broadly, to say, I don't have an opportunity to learn. But you can now look at yourself and say, what do I need to do to learn? Or even look at your HR and ask your HR or your company, fine, I'd like to grow in this area. What opportunities, what information is available for me to be able to come in and learn?
No, it makes sense. I mean, I personally am undergoing a few different courses here and there, and they have their challenges. I mean, especially if without a computer science background or computing background, it's a bit of a challenge to sort of find a course and then not be intimidated by it or with some sort of imposter syndrome that I'm not good enough for this course. I need to have done something else. I need a prerequisite. And I feel like that's a lot of what's going on at the moment. Like, of course, I could do this course. There is no barrier. It's free. It's online. I have a computer. But the time, I feel, at least for me, it's the time that I need to invest in getting that pre-qualification in whatever computing language to be able to now fully understand what I'm going to be learning from this now additional course. That needs to be demystified, in my opinion.
Yeah, it does, Matthew. And let me use the example of the company I mentioned earlier, the software company, right? So this company has moved away from software engineering, which a lot of people with BScs have been able to graduate in. They've hired great people. Maybe they now need to come into cloud computing. They need now to go into data and AI and things like that, right? So what happens to them when they need to be able to get employees? What happens to them when they need to skill, or rather to hire the right people to allow them to continue doing business? With all these people, you shut shop and you go home, right? So what happened is, and we've seen this a lot, we see a lot of cybersecurity engineers, we see a lot of cloud engineers. Some of them don't even have the most basic degrees, but they've invested their time in getting the skills that are relevant to that particular moment in time. And that is one of the areas where, and you rightfully say so. So if I require you to get a skill or to get knowledge via a prerequisite, right? So you need to do something before you actually can come here and I can teach you something else, right? And what if somebody came and provided this particular information I need without the prerequisite, break it down in a way that it's easy for me to consume, easy for me to understand, easy for me to implement. I mean, by the time this particular person who's going through the longer process is out in the job market, this particular person has been here, building up experience. I mean, putting themselves in a position where they need to be, where they can basically succeed better than the person who's taken the longer route, right? So there's an evolution there that's definitely coming, right? A lot of the courses that we have, therefore, as I mentioned earlier, they need to be broken down. They need to be made relevant. They need to be made accessible. I need to get it on my phone. I need to get it on my tablet. I need to get it on my laptop or on my home computer, right? To be able to just consume the knowledge and therefore then go and implement that knowledge at work. This other long process is great. I'll get some great certificate.
It's a CD recruit.
It's very good, But in terms of what is required for businesses, I don't think they're at a position where they can wait to hire people in terms of after 5 years, right? So after 5 years, do we know AI will be the thing? After 5 years, do we know? I mean, maybe after 5 years, everyone will be on virtual reality doing a lot of coding and all that other stuff there, right? So, I mean, what happens to you? Therefore, look for ways that you can consume that knowledge right now. I will say this about one of the things you've raised. maybe there is an opportunity within the local space just to be able to look at that whole learning model, right? So as opposed to requiring you to be able to go through a long route to get where you need to be, maybe there's an opportunity for a company here to be able to come in and just make it easier for you to get your knowledge, to get your skills, to be recognized as an expert, and ensure that you're ready for whatever ambitions you have next.
Yeah. No, some good knowledge. I hope the listeners are taking this all on board and frequently and vigorously searching for courses out there, because the time is now. The time is now. Find that course, get on it, consume that knowledge as quickly as possible, because it's time is money.
Yeah,
time is definitely money.
True.
Tim.
Yeah.
The future of work in Kenya.
Yeah.
What does it look like? What skills do you think will be in high demand?
Well, people skills are going nowhere.
They're not going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere, right? So you need to learn to be able to communicate. You need to be able to learn how to manage yourself. You need to be able to learn how to just function properly within the work environment, right? As an individual. How to handle conflict, how to handle stress. These are things that machines cannot take away. The human connection is something that is vital, right? Technology, in that sense, is not meant to replace people, but it's supposed to augment or rather support you in your role. So the future of work, what the future looks like is that you as an individual look at your at tools around AI and around tech that can be able to make your work better. Let me give an example. Up until 2 years ago, this was how we responded to emails. You send me a long email, I take a whole day processing because I'm not sure exactly what you want. Then I'll respond hopefully by tomorrow morning, right?
Which was not a few years ago. That was yesterday.
That was yesterday. Right now, I've seen this a lot. People can easily take your email and have it summarized into key points on ChatGPT or on Gemini, right? And just get the key points and be able to respond effectively. They can be able to use some of those tools to be able to come up with reports, to come up with information that makes their work much easier, right? So, for example, back in the day, I used to fiddle around as a graphic designer. Not very good in my own estimation, but I tried, right? And I remember for you to be a good graphic designer, you needed tools like
Illustrator,
and I remember I used to use Corel Draw, right?
Oh yes,
yeah. It was horrible, right? And right now, I mean, with Canva, everything is just 2 seconds away. Just move this here, move this here. Canva doesn't make your work beautiful, but it just makes the process easier. Better. If you don't have talent, you don't have talent in terms of
it's not gonna fix that.
Right? But it changed that particular role, right? So right now, even graphic designers are able to come up with a lot more. So I think the volume has increased in terms of what they can output, as opposed to taking their jobs away.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So right now, if you're a graphic designer, I can sit and do multiple projects at the same time. Before, where I'd only be tied in by one project, right? So in that sense, it has become a tool to make how you work better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Look at what we're doing right now in terms of podcasting, right? Before podcasting, I mean, ideally the whole world, you'd have to go book a registration and be nice to a presenter just so he can give you 5 minutes to talk about your company, right?
Exactly. Grease some hands, some muddy.
Exactly.
Something had to happen.
Exactly. And how it was delivered was that it would be aired at a particular time. So if everyone in your village was out for a wedding on that particular day, I mean,
that's it. It's gone.
They missed you forever.
It's in the streets, in the archives.
But right now we have this content being delivered to people on demand, right? So anyone who wants to know about Incentro, who wants to know about what you do, who wants to know how you've helped companies transform the way they work, can now just come in here and get all this information, right? They want to look at your history. They want to look at what you're doing with Monday.com. Why did you guys grow up so quickly to become a gold partner? How are you helping businesses on that particular front? The information is right there. Yeah. Look at what Incentro has done. It is, right? I mean, look at what you guys did with AI and data, right? I remember the whole story around Copia. And when Copia wanted to utilize data analytics, I mean, it was Incentro that was able to deliver that, right?
Yeah.
But before, it would have been a whole entire process for them, right? So what would they have need to have done to be able to just get to that point? Were there tools for data and analytics? Were there tools for warehousing their data, So right now, in that sense, there's been that technological advancement, but it is there to sort of make things better. And that is the thinking that I would say for the future of Kenya, that has to be it, right? We have to look at these tools, we adopt the ones that are right for us, right? If you're a HR, for example, manager, you need tools that can help you do with payroll, can help you do with staff engagement, things like, what's it called? Slack, things like that. Yeah, these are things that are supposed to make the workspace much better, not so much come and limit what people can be able to do, right? Yeah.
Agreed. So it can be said, it can be argued that AI is now the biggest leap in recent history.
Yeah.
What do you think the next biggest leap is going to be?
Okay, I don't think we've really reached the depths of AI that
No, not yet. I mean, we're going to dwell here for a minute or two, but after AI has settled, matured, plateaued, what's the next big leap in tech?
I'd want to say virtual reality.
Yeah?
Yeah. And I'm just saying this because I finally tried it out. So
you sound a bit biased now.
Yeah, I am. And it was just mind-boggling in terms of the opportunities that can be there. So for example, imagine you are an engineer. And you want to be able to test out a few things without having to break things that are currently there, right? Yeah. So you're able to create that reality just to be able to see how things react in this virtual environment, right? You want to be able to watch your programs or your code in practice, you can be able to do so. So I think virtual reality is a tool, again, that will come in and still augment the human experience, not replace it, right?
Not replace at all.
Yeah. So we're not talking about, for example, coming to replace dating and stuff like that. I'm just coming to say that it will come and augment the reality. It will come and support you in whatever you're doing. So for businesses, for example, you can do great VR presentations, you can hold meetings. So I think that's the future. After we've settled down on AI and, our roles, our jobs have been redefined, those that will be redefined, virtual reality will probably be the next frontier.
Yeah. I can see that happening. I mean, Apple's on it, Meta is on it.
Yeah. And even more. I mean,
there's so many.
I think about space exploration, right? I mean, if you could experience it without having to leave Earth, would you not want to? Would you not want to see what the surface of Mars looks like, or Jupiter, Pluto.
All my dreams and nightmares have been earthbound. I need them to. I need a new landscape.
Yeah, exactly. So it's still untapped. I mean, of course, they're at the forefront. They have the money to spend to be able to build that up. But the fact that I feel virtual reality is tied to human imagination, and human imagination is limitless. That's probably the next frontier.
No, can't wait to take up. So you've heard it here first. The next courses you guys need to take up are virtual reality based.
Yeah.
So go for it.
Yeah.
I think we can try wrap up now. There's I don't know if you have anything else to talk about on how better we can prepare. We've talked about taking up certain courses. The time is now. There's several institutions, free, paid. Is there anything else you can add on to that? About
what I'd want to encourage people, especially your listeners, is regardless of the number of years you've been in the market, there are certain things that you can do to be able to future-proof your career. And future-proof means that you are aiming to add value and be relevant even 10 years from now, right? If, for example, I'm told tomorrow I need to be a chef, then there's certain things I need to start doing right now, like what's a tomato and how do I cut a tomato, right? So you're kicking off from there. So how do you make your career future-proof, right? The two things I would advise people, first and foremost, is embrace a growth mindset. The fact that you're here today doesn't mean you don't have a better tomorrow, right? So put in the work today, invest in yourself, skill up, reskill yourself to ensure that you have a brighter tomorrow, right? Yeah. And then number two, embrace lifelong learning mindset. Focus on the fact that I am always going to keep learning, right? Learning didn't end with university. They sold us that learning. They sold us that, right? I remember thinking we were sold after university. You're done learning. Go get a job. All that. Have fun. You'll be, you'll do well in life, right? And only for us to come and realize that I graduated in the early 2000s.
Right? We'll censor that part.
And the world I graduated into is not the world that is there today, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Even just in terms of the jobs available, in terms of what was required. I remember when we were leaving university, every single person wanted to go work in a bank. Right? If you got a job in a bank, back then you were doing very well. Right now, kids are not so inclined to be able to go and look for jobs in these companies. They want to be able to earn a living from wherever they are, right? They're looking for a more hybrid, more different environment, right? So for us, we have to ensure that the fact that that was our yesterday shouldn't limit our tomorrow. And we do that by ensuring that we adopt that lifelong learning mindset. I am going to always keep learning. I'm going to always keep embracing new technologies. So I don't know where I'll be 5 years from now, right? But I figured if I keep learning, and I stay ambitious on the fact that I do want to be in a good place in my career, I might be in a possibly higher chance. I'll probably be in a better position than I am right now. Yeah.
Okay. No, it's good advice. Good advice. I will take it on personally as well. I was definitely in that camp of people that was like, yeah, just become a doctor, become an architect, become an engineer. You'll be fine. You finish school. Yeah, no, I'm currently doing courses now. How many years after graduating? And I don't see it stopping. It'll be there until my dying day. Unfortunately, my dad used to say, still says, it's a continuous process. Learning is a continuous process. It'll never stop. So let's keep it up. Let's keep it up. Let's keep going. Let's keep building this country. Let's keep building this nation, so that hopefully one day we just surpass the West. That is my lifelong dream. Surpass the West, surpass Europe.
Very
become
doable.
A digital savannah.
Very doable.
Silicon
very
savannah.
Doable. Very doable. Very doable. And we want that ambition. We want that ambition for our country.
Yeah, absolutely. Well then, I think that wraps up this episode of Byte-Sized Tech. A huge thank you to you, Tim, for sharing your expert insights, your thoughts, your wisdom, for lack of a better word. We hope you enjoyed today's discussion and learned something new. Don't forget to subscribe on Spotify so you never miss an episode. We'll be back with more tech tidbits from Africa and around the world. Until then, keep innovating and stay tech savvy.